this mind, I wrote a very simple poetry on these 6 types of mind. The mind that is detached is always giving. The mind with kindness is always helping. The mind with wisdom is so knowing. The wholesome mind is so profiting. You go to the 3 types of mind. Right? In Pali we say alobha, adosa, and jnana, and panya. That means to say non-craving, non-ill will, and then non-ignorant, which is wisdom. And we say non-craving is giving, liberally, be generous. So I would say it's detached. If you are not attached, opposite of that, you are detached. Non-craving. So one of the meaning I interpret as detached. Now if we crave in our mind, if we are always wanting, craving is always wanting, always grabbing things for oneself, is not able to detach, to depart. Craving wholesome object, they never give. When we crave, it never gives, unless things we don't want. Like old shirt, old shoes, it's more easier to give because we don't want, because we got something new, we bought something better. So we sacrifice. But it is still giving. It is so. It is still giving. It is still wholesome. It is still giving. Now when we attach, in our mental state, when we start wanting all the time, so we call that demerits, unwholesome mind. Because it promotes the selfishness, only for yourself. You're only thinking of yourself. When the craving arises in the mind, we're always thinking of myself, I. But of course, sometimes it covers our loved ones, your wife, your husband, or your children. So when we crave for things, what do we crave? Normally we say we crave for the 6 pleasant objects. We crave to see, to smell, to taste, to touch. Our mind are always reaching, searching for pleasant objects. It is forever. In Pali we say vitaka. It's always searching. Where can I go to eat something nice? Where can I go to see? Shopping, even if you have no money to buy. Today is a sale on, we go shopping. Just to see, to smell, we buy perfume, to touch. It's very nice here, with nice aircon, very clean room. And we feel a cushion to sit on, comfortable. The body feels very nice, comfortable. To touch, to think, pleasant object. So we forever crave for such type of objects and accumulate our greed. The more greedy we become, the more we accumulate. The more we accumulate, the more we refuse to give. But whenever you give, then comes the detachment mind. I want to give. This person is so poor, I'll give $1. Comes the detachment mind. So at that precise moment arises alobha cetasikas. We call it detachment mind. The mind is real. We can't see with our eyes, we can smell, we can taste the mind, we can touch the mind, but mind knows mind. Mind can see the mind. Mind sees mind. And the mind is real. It arises, these mental states in our mind of detachment. Only then can we give. If there is no detachment, then we can't give. Now I'll tell this story. Happened 2-3 weeks ago. I was in the shopping center and I do a lot of shopping, buy food and all that. And so that day I was buying quite a lot of things and there were probably 6 or 7 plastic bags of things on the table. And I paid money and I put it in my car. And when I drove home, I found that a lot of things are missing. Probably 1, 2 or 3 packets of the things are missing. Hey, where's my egg gone to? How come no egg? Hey, I bought this chocolate and where does it gone to? And then bought some all these things which is going to be cooked today and it's not there. And so, what do you think? What do you think? Do you laugh? Ha ha ha, like that? Now you feel a bit angry, feel depressed. First thing that arises in your mind, somebody stole it, and the next thought arises, maybe the supermarket, the cashier girl took it. The poor cashier girl. You always blame her first. She must have took it. Otherwise, how could it be lost? It was put directly in the car, and I pushed it to the car, put it inside the car, and I drove home. It can't be lost. So somebody must have took it, or I must have left it at the side. So the thought arose. And it was a craving thought. It was an attachment thought. That's why it produces ill will. It produces a bit of anger. It wasn't strong. Why it wasn't strong? Because it doesn't worth a lot of money. About $60, $70. I could afford to lose that. Right? But if it was $10,000, it would be a different thing. So it was just $60, $70. And roughly I could calculate it. So it didn't really hurt that much. But when I watched my mind, it was disgusted. And I note, my mind arises with craving. When it is craving, you never want to give. You want it all for yourself. And the ill will arises because you lose something that you treasure. Why do ill will arises? Why do anger arises? Because you lose something you have, or you do not want something that you are getting. Ill will arises. It's a byproduct of craving. You can't have what you want. You want to lose things. You bought it, it's yours. But if you lose it, you don't want to lose it. Can't have things you want. Or having things you don't want, you're getting sick. Or you're having a lot of something, people scolding you, you don't like it. You don't want people to scold you. You don't want to smell unpleasant odor. Right now, when you meditate and beside you somebody poo, and then would you like it? You will hold your breath until your face becomes pink or purple. You won't like it. Right now. So what is the outcome of it? Suffering. Ill will is suffering. Dukkha. Something unpleasant to bear. Suffering. Arose in the mind, then that's suffering. So when I look into my mind, I realize attachment. Now it has gone into suffering. Now I feel the pain. Even though it is subtle, I recognize the pain because I'm constantly looking into my mind. And I could distinguish the arising of pain. Then I say to myself, here it comes, unwholesome mind, unwholesome mind. And I say to myself, detachment, detachment, detachment. Let go, let go, let go. Let go of the thought. Don't build up that anger. The more you build up, the more the pain. The Buddha says, attachment brings pain. Attachment brings fear. If there is no attachment, where is pain? Where is fear? There's no fear, there's no pain. Sometimes the Dhamma is so simple, but we do not understand what the Buddha is saying. It is so simple, I don't understand. But when you meditate, you experience that, the second level of wisdom. The first level is by studying, by listening, by learning. The second level of wisdom is by practice. Experiential wisdom. You experience that wisdom that arises through your experience, through that experience of the mind thinking. Then you know that is suffering. Letting go is the end of suffering. But it is not easy to let go. It's not easy because the mind refuses to let go. Why? Because the craving is strong. Why go all the way? Why buy and take so much time to choose and pick and come all the way back? Now it's not there. So the object is strong. So what do? I will say to myself, okay, Dhamma, Dhamma, Dhamma. Giving. I detach, I give. So if somebody took it, they must be desperate. They must be needing it more than I do. So let them have it. Have a kind heart, let them have it. So I say, Dhamma, Dhamma, Dhamma. Whoever got it, I must have owed them in the past. Whether in this life or in the past life, we must have owed them. Now we are paying back. So no regrets. So you don't have to pay back again next time. You already paid your due. So finish. Just as your income tax. You have paid it already. They won't chase after you unless you haven't paid. Take note of that. Unless you haven't paid, then you're worried. Right? So, I could see the subsiding of the pain. And after that, there is no more pain. When I look into my mind, then what do I experience? I experience mental balance. Like what we do in meditation, mental balance, mindfulness, and knowing. These three things that you are practicing in your meditation. You must learn to apply it in your life. Just sitting here half an hour quietly and watch your rise and fall, that is not enough. You train here. Like you learn your kung fu here. And when you go out and people want to box you, what do? You display your kung fu lah. You don't leave all your kung fu with your muscle and go out. No. You bring your kung fu with you. True or not? All the habitual movement that you train in your dojo, in your kung fu place. When you go out, you practice that. The same way with your meditation. When you go out, you practice that. Your training is here. Why? Because it's easier to do it. It's quiet. It's peaceful. You, mind, and object. When you go out, it is more difficult. Too many objects. Hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. More difficult to train outside. Easier to train inside than go outside. Like a battery, charging your battery. Then easy to start a car. So when I look into my mind, there is no pain. So what do I learn? I learn suffering, pain. I learn the cause of suffering because I hold on to the object, because I'm craving in my mind, attachment. There's no more pain because I let go. And what is the outcome? There is no more pain. And I feel very peaceful. The Four Noble Truths. You listen to Buddhist talk all the time, Four Noble Truths, but you must learn how to apply the Four Noble Truths. Put it into action. Then you verify what the Buddha taught in meditation. And what do? I say, okay, there I go the second time. Go out, open the gate, start my car, go back to the supermarket. And the first thing I do is I went to this counter. Very good. And I say, hey, I'm not saying you steal or take my things. I'm just asking, have I left my packet of things behind just 10 minutes ago? And of course, the counter girl, the face all turned red. She's scared that I think that she stole it. I said, no. I didn't say you took it. It's just say that it's missing when I go back, all these things that I bought. They said, no, I don't take it. You see my counter, nothing there. I said, okay, enough. And I went back and I take back the same thing that is missing. I paid the money and I drove home, but this time more careful. I see that a packet is there. How many packets? And then I drove home and it's all there. And it's okay. Detach mind. Now you must look into your mind. When you have a lot of attachment, producing a lot of pain and fear and lamentation, sadness, must learn to note your mind. That's why I always say, knowing. Meditation is not sleeping. Meditation is knowing, wide awake. Knowing what is happening, internally, externally. Knowing, internally first, your own mind. Then you got to learn external mind. Now how do you learn external mind? First you experience your internal mind, what anger is like. Anger is burning. And when the volcano bursts, what is happening? It's going to burn yourself first. And then the next person who's standing beside you. And verily, most of the time you burn is your loved one. And that's the big problem. Huh? We always burn our loved ones, the one that we love the most, we care the most. So we have to be careful. And the same thing that happens to your loved ones. When you see that volcano, what do? You don't get burned, right? You go for a long walk. Right? That's what I do most of the time. You go for an hour walk. Right? If it is burning inside or if it is burning outside, then you take a long walk. Right? It's good for you. Good exercise. For your mind and body. Then when you walk, you say walking, but look out for the cars. Okay? That is very good for your mind. You are practicing walking meditation. If your house for the garden, go to the garden, walking. If it's too hot, bring umbrella or you get sunstroke. Watch the mind. Watch the detachment mind. Then recognize, now there is no more attachment. No more craving. What is this craving? Wanting something you can't have, having something you don't want. That is the two main culprits that disturb our mind all the time. Wanting something you can't have. And of course, there are a lot of things you can't have. Don't you think so? Could you have everything in life? There's always some part missing. You may be so rich, but your health is not so good. Your health is so good, but there's always missing money. We have always a part that is missing. We have good health, we have money, but our loved one do not have the health. Our children is not healthy. Our children is not clever. Doesn't have all the A's, but only have the dark A's. There is always part that is missing in our life. We can't have everything in life. And if you notice that, if you count your blessing, every little blessing that you have, if you were to count it, we have a lot of blessing compared to others, to other countries, other people. They don't have anything at all. They don't even have eggs to eat. I read in the papers, when a country is always fighting, who is rearing chicken? Human also can't survive. Chicken can survive. Human also have no food to eat. Where could have chicken food to eat? So therefore no chicken, no eggs. So this lady said, for umpteen years, I have not eaten one egg. Wow, Malaysian, I tell you, I love eggs. Probably sometimes I take nearly a dozen eggs a week. Can last for all, don't take so much. But lucky I'm still alive. I like eggs. We are so lucky. There's so much things to eat. We are not so lacking of wants. We have a lot of things. But yet, if you center your mind on things that you don't have, then you think you have nothing. Because everything you want, you don't get. Because there are a lot of things that we can't get. And so when you center your mind on a lot of things you don't have, you can't get, then there's a lot of suffering. Then you think yourself very deprived and very poor. When you start comparing to those who have a lot of things that you don't have, then you feel sad. Then you feel deprived. You should not do that. Count your blessing. You should count your blessing. When you wake up a new day, early in the morning, and you say, I'm blessed to be alive. That's what I always tell to myself. Today, another bonus day. It's a bonus that I'm still alive today. Do you think so or not? Yes, not many people live to 66. You read the newspaper and see, nowadays. Anyway, the men only live to 70. That is the average. Of course, ladies is much, they live older. It's a blessing and a curse. Blessing is they live longer. to enjoy more. A girl's geese, they have more pain than egg, longer. So when you pray to have long life, you also pray to have good health. Otherwise, you have a lot of pain, then it drags the suffering. But if you have a good body, a healthy body, you must also pray to have a healthy mind. Otherwise, you suffer mentally. Having a strong body, but having a weak mind, then you suffer mentally. There's so much sicknesses in the mind. There are a lot of lamentation, things with despair. So you must have both. But a lot of people, they always try to have healthy body, but they never strive to have healthy mind. It's a pity, because they are interconnected. So, I've talked about the two. The one is the craving mind. The craving mind, the greedy mind is selfish and demanding. Because of craving, we always want things. We always demand things. We always say that we are right, the other person is wrong. We always say that this thing rightly belongs to us. Sometimes I hear people say, it is all mine. It is all mine. You think it's a laughing matter? Yeah, but it is true. The craving mind is never sharing. Craving mind is always one thing. But the non-craving mind is detachment. It's able to give because the mind is detached. And there are those people who learn to give. It's hard to give, So you give first a little bit, then you get used to giving a little bit more, and then you start giving until it becomes a part of your life. Otherwise, taking is always so much easier than giving. Receiving is always so much easier. But there are people who do not want to receive as well. They always think that when they receive, when people give something to them, they always want something back. Do you think so? They always want something back. Yeah? It is so, unless it's your loved ones, they don't ask something back, But if it's your neighbor, a lot of time, they want something back. My neighbor, last time I had one, and she cooked too much curry, she'll give us a plate, and so we will wash the plate, save the plate until we cook something more. Sometimes purposely cook one, and then put it back and give it back, right? And if you were to wash the plate very clean and you give it back, an empty plate, you won't have any more curry next time. True or not? So that's why I was Chinese saying that when people give you things, you never give back an empty bowl. You always give something back. And the easiest is, if they give you 3 eggs, you give 1 egg back and take 2 eggs. Then you don't have to cook something to give back. These are very strange customs, but sometimes they got meaning there one. You don't know only. Think deeply, they got meaning there one. The mind with kindness is always helping, but the mind that hates is explosive, always destroying. Now there's another 2 types of mind. The kindness mind. The mind that is kind. Right? So the dosa is ill will, explosive, hatred, anger. Adosa is kindness, non-anger, non-hatred, non-ill will. So if you train a bit of it, it becomes loving kindness, become kind. It's always helping people when you are kind. We can do a lot of kindness, even sometimes little bit of kindness, and it goes a long way. We think that we must do something very exceptional, not necessarily so. Just a little bit of kindness, and it goes a very long way. Even by just standing up in the bars to let somebody sit, an elderly person sit, or a pregnant woman sit, or even a woman carrying a child. It goes a long way just to offer your seat. You could save lives. What if the bus jerked and this old lady or this lady fall down on the child? They could die. You save lives. There's this interesting story that I read in the papers that this man was walking on the round seashore, and then there were all these tiny types of some cells was lying down, and took it and threw it back to the sea. And the man was walking behind, and he saw that he was picking up and throwing back to the sea. And he says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm throwing it back so that they would not die. When the sun comes out, they dry up and they die." And the man says, "But that is futile. How many can you say? You see the whole beach, there are so many of all these sea creatures." And this man took another one up. He says, "But it makes a difference to this one. Right? When he throws back to the sea, this one has more life. He has more time to live. Make a big difference to him, even though it doesn't make a big difference to the person who's walking behind, but it makes a big difference to the life that you save." So that is the kindness. Even by being kind, even go back and teaching people meditation, tell your loved ones how to meditate, how to wash your mind. That's being kind. That's being kind, that he will not suffer. Once he understands the nature of his mind, how it works, and how to let go, it makes him more peaceful, more happy. When we have less unwholesome mental states in our mind, we have more wholesome mental states, and more wholesome mental states are happiness. But you have a lot of anger, frustration, then you suffer more. Because there is no new mind that can arise when it is covered up and controlled. The space is taken up for the unwholesome mind. So there is no space for wholesome mind. Right? So there is kindness. And you must recognize when you get angry, disturbed, because that is suffering itself. That is the first noble truth of suffering. When you attach to them, and if they are not aware, and it becomes growing, it becomes stronger and stronger, then your pain becomes more and more strong. So you need to aware of them, you need to note them, you need to let go. So you're going to tell yourself, let go, let go, let go. But when the object is strong, you need to repeat it in your mind more time. Let go, let go, let go. If it doesn't work, then you say the first noble truth of suffering, suffering, suffering. Now this is suffering. Now you have experienced suffering, mental suffering. Just as you have experienced physical suffering from the body door, now you experience mental suffering, and they are different. Mental suffering is different from the suffering from your body. Do you think it's different? Do you think it's different? Can you see the difference? Anybody say no, hands up? Okay, no hand. Anybody say yes, hands up? Okay, no hand. They are different, right? If you take a pin and you poke your leg and see whether your mind there, somebody poke a pin in your mind there or not. No, you just feel the pain. But you can feel the poke. The pin, the poke, your body. If you cut yourself, you can feel the cutting pain from the body. The mind knows the pain from the body because the body got consciousness. The moment this thing touches our body, the body is conscious, whether it is pleasant object or unpleasant object. And the mind takes the body objects, and the mind has three types of feeling: pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Three types of feeling. Mind feeling is different from the body feeling. Can catch the point now and see the difference or not. So you must practice it to see the difference clearly. Alright? Then note this is suffering. Then do you want to suffer? Only people who don't know suffer. People who knows do not need to suffer. You think true or not? That's why the Buddha says the beginning of suffering is ignorance. Because you don't know. If you know, you will not suffer. It's because you don't know. Therefore you suffer. True or not? Dependent origination. Depending on craving arises suffering. Depend on ignorance, there is this craving, there is this clinging, and there is this suffering. When you cling on to things you have, you don't have, or you do not want things you don't have, That is the arising of dukkha, suffering. You see? Suffering, suffering, suffering. Let go, let go. Now we go to another two sets of the mind. What are the two sets? The mind of wisdom is so knowing. Alright? The deluded mind is shrouded in darkness and so confusing. Now there's these two types of mind. One is the knowing, the other is the confusion. The confusion mind, the ignorant mind. Ignorant mind is so confusing. When we think we have it, it is no longer there. We are always searching for happiness, and yet we can't find it our whole life. What we get is what? What we get is sensual pleasure, but not the happiness that we really crave for. Every one of us, we crave for happiness. The true happiness, the peace, the contentment, the absence of fear, the contentment, the full satisfaction. Now when you have this peace of mind, you have that full satisfaction, you do not need anything anymore. You have that peacefulness and tranquility. You know that you have everything that you ever want in life. From there arises joy and happiness in our mind, keeps on arising and arising. It's a byproduct of tranquility, and it's called spiritual happiness. There is no lacking. But the happiness that we have through our senses, they are always lacking. Why is it always lacking? Because we want it better. We want to have something more all the time. When you have it, you want something that you don't have. You want something more. Once you say, oh, this food or fried noodle is so good, then you look for the next one that is best. After the best, don't know what you're looking for, the very best, or the best. It is lacking. Whenever you have what you want, the mind is lacking. It is not fulfilling. It is not enough. It is not contentment. So that is why we are always missing. We think we got it, but it is missing. We always say, it is lacking. In the object that you have, in the mind, you want something more. So they are always lacking, both in objects and the mind. They are always changing. They are always discreting. They are always looking for something more. So there is way. The true happiness is always elusive. It's always not there. And that is the ignorant mind. That is very confusing. And so we grumble all the time. So you always do this thing, you don't do this thing that make me happy, you always make these things that make me sad, you don't do the things I want, you always do the things that I don't want. Then the mind keeps always searching, always dissatisfied, and then it's always annoying. It's always not there, it's not fulfilled. You can't always capture that moment. It's always elusive. Even if it is the best moment that you have, you can't capture it again. It is no longer the same. The question that I ask the meditators in my class in Brickfield, what do you think is the most happiness that you have experienced? And of course there are many answers. When I get what I want, when I'm able to solve my problem, and of course some ladies would say, when I got married, the wedding day is the most happiest. And there's another one who say, my first baby is the most happiest. Right? And the question is, could you recapture the happiness? Why not? You have experienced that. What about the second baby? It's not the same anymore. It's not the first. What about marrying the second time? It's not the same anymore. It's the second time, not the first time. You're getting used to it. Elizabeth married 13 times. Because she wants to recapture that special moment. But it is not there anymore. But the problem is, we always try to capture that moment. We like to recollect when we are young, collect the happy times very carefully. We like to recollect the good times. Most of it we like to collect, but we also recollect the bad times as well. It depends on what you recollect. If you anchor on the pleasant memories, you have more happiness because they are pleasant objects. So it produces more pleasant feeling. But if you anchor on the bad memories, they produce a lot of pain because it's unpleasant object, mental object. So it produces pain, unpleasant feelings. If we bring out this wholesome mind, it is so profiting for others, for yourself. If you learn to give, it's a blessing because whatever you give, it always comes back to you. Good for yourself, good for the person who receives. When you have kindness, it is so good. Make others so happy with kind words, kind action. Make yourself so happy when you are kind. And then knowing is so benefiting. It reduces your suffering. It creates so much happiness in your mind. Once you know, once you understand, once you're able to let go, once you got healing, you're able to build up positive mind. It's so much happiness. But the unwholesome mind is so unprofitable. When you're so greedy, hurts a lot of people. When you're so selfish, harms yourself. You become so lonely. Nobody wants to mix with you. Sometimes even your loved ones go away from you because you're so selfish. Only think of your own self. They do not want to be a part of you. So unprofiting. And what about ill will? Harm yourself. You harm another person with that fire. Not only you burn yourself, you burn another person with your fire. So unprofiting. And ignorance is the whole mess of suffering. When you don't understand reality, you don't understand this mind and body, you don't understand external mind and body, it is so confusing, and we make so many mistakes, and we repeat the same mistake, and we hurt another people, we harm another person, and we harm ourselves all the time. And this cycle of suffering keep going on because we are ignorant. Because we don't have that wisdom, because we do not know. And like a blind person, we fall down, we hurt ourselves, we walk again, stand up and walk, we knock our head on the wall because we are blind. And there we rub our forehead, there's a lot of pain, and then we walk again. Why? Because there is no choice, because we can't see. And that is ignorance. Mental blindness is worse than the physical eye blindness, because we have other senses. We make up with other senses. If a person born blind, they can still hear, smell, taste, touch, think. Mental blindness is totally out. That is the root cause of suffering. As long as we have these ignorance, we don't meditate, we don't develop that knowing, that wisdom, we're going to produce suffering, not only here and now. In the past, you have produced a lot of suffering for yourself. In the present, in the future too. There will be no end of suffering as long as there is no wisdom. So I talked about the 6 types of mind for today. There are 16 types of mind, and perhaps we have time to go to the other next time.